Steve from Trail Less Travel. Today we're going to talk about how to set up your weight distribution hitch. And we're setting up an Equil-i-zer hitch that is rated for 10,000 pounds. That's the number one thing, is to make sure you have the right size for your trailer. Some of you may be wondering why you need a weight distribution hitch. One of the biggest reasons for a weight distribution hitch is to make sure and distribute the weight evenly on your tow vehicle. A lot of times travel trailers weigh quite a bit, and so we need to disperse some of that tongue weight throughout the vehicle. Having a weight distribution hitch also reduces sway. So one of the reasons that we get sway when we're towing a travel trailer is because the pitch of the vehicle is sometimes too high or it's too low. And so we need to make that even. And so first part of setting up is making sure that we're on a level surface, because we need to make multiple measurements on the tow vehicle and also the trailer. So the first thing that you need to measure is the top of the coupler of the travel trailer. You need to make sure that your travel trailer is on level ground and is level front to back.
Okay.
So the first thing, since we have this coupler height, that we need to do is put the hitch into the receiver, and then we can use that measurement and make the right height for the ball. For our particular vehicle, is going to be set up like this. There's two different ways that you can actually set this up. One is with it down, so you can do that. And then for our vehicle, it's going to be set up like this.
The direction of the shank will depend on where level is for your tow vehicle and trailer. You'll secure the shank into the receiver tube using a hitch pin and clip to make sure that everything stays securely in place.
So now that we have that in there, we can actually put the ball on the hitch. In order to allow for your tow vehicle to drop down 1 to 3 inches, you need to actually raise the ball 1 to 3 inches above that coupler height. And then you measure the top part of that. As long as it's 1 to 3 inches higher than the coupler on the travel trailer, then that's where you put the bolts into the hitch. Okay, so you got the bolts in there. Next thing you need to do is make sure the plane is flying over.
It's pretty much the noisiest day ever in our neighborhood.
So the next thing that you need to do is to make sure that your ball is vertical or slightly tilted towards your vehicle. You have a bolt down here that you can tighten to and just up until it hits that. And then you also have some washers down here that sometimes you need to add to or take some washers away from, so this becomes vertical or slightly tilted towards the vehicle.
You will secure the bolts into the receiver using the provided washers and nuts.
So make sure when you're tightening this, you tighten this to the manufacturer's specification. They will have how much you need to torque these bolts to. And then also, when you're tightening it, when you're finishing tightening the bolts, you got to make sure that that ball is vertical and pushed all the way up against here. And then you can fully tighten it and torque it down. There we go. So once you have this torqued down to the specification, you need to take measurements on the tow vehicle. The measurements that you need on the tow vehicle are for setting up the ball height and also the weight distribution bars. You need to measure from the ground to the bottom of the rear bumper and the ground to the bottom of the front bumper. The next thing that we need to do is put the L brackets on that the weight distribution bars sit on top of, And we got to make sure when these are in place, they're parallel with the frame of your trailer. For our specific weight distribution hitch and trailer, we need to measure back from the coupler along the frame 32 inches, and that's where we set our L brackets, because that leaves at least 3 inches of the sway bar from the end, and I'll show you this at the end. When you're tightening this to the frame, you want to make sure that you torque these nuts and bolts to the manufacturer's specification. Okay, now that we have this on the trailer, we need to hook it up to the hitch so that we can get the sway bars on there and know where to put the L bracket.
At this time, you'll check to make sure that your wheels are chocked and raise any stabilizer bars.
Now that we have everything secure, we want to make sure and put the coupler down on the ball until it can be locked into place. And so then we want to make sure and pin it. So then to make it easier to set up the weight distribution bars, you want to raise the back of the vehicle with your jack about 3 inches. This is what holds the back part of the sway bar on there, this L bracket. And so sometimes this process can take a little trial and error, because the biggest thing is once you have the sway bar hooked up to the equalizer hitch, you want to make sure that it is parallel with that. But you want to make sure it's parallel with it when it's loaded. So once we get the correct level that we need of the L bracket, we want to make sure and put the nuts on there. These are lock nuts that hold this in place. On these, once again, just make sure you're torquing them to your manufacturer's specification. So when you raise it up that 3 inches, it makes it that much easier to put this on. And you see how this is hanging off of that L bracket? That's because we set this at the right distance from the coupler. And that's so when you're turning, that this can move back and forth a little bit. Once the L bracket for the sway bar is hooked up correctly, do the same on the other side. At this point, you want to make sure and put all the weight on the tongue of the vehicle, so you can make sure that your sway bar is parallel with the frame of the travel trailer. Once you have everything set up, then you can measure the front bumper and the rear bumper and make sure it's within that ½ inch of that original height that you measured. Then you know you have this set up correctly. One of the biggest tips that I can give you is to make sure you have enough grease on every part that is metal on metal. One of the biggest ones is going to be where this is inserted into the hitch, and then also your ball into the coupler. One of the things that we use is this multi-purpose EP grease, and that works really good on that.
Red and tacky, is that really the name of it?
Red and tacky number 2. Once this is set up correctly, you need to make sure all your pins are in correctly, your chains on your vehicle are hooked up, and the electrical is hooked up to the tow vehicle. To check out our whole hookup process, check out the video in our iCard. Always, if you feel like you need to make adjustments to your weight distribution hitch, always do that. The biggest thing is making sure that the trailer is level, because if it's tilted too far forward or backwards, you're going to have sway. I want to thank you for watching this video and hope you found it very helpful. We have how-to videos and also other RV tips that you can always check out on our channel. And we also travel around the Midwest and go see lots of fun things and just get out there. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe to our channel, make sure and do that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the trail.